Hey there, night owls and thrill seekers. Welcome to Midnight Surge, where the shadows whisper and the dark holds secrets you can't unhear. I'm your guide into the unknown, digging up tales of ordinary folks caught in moments that'll make your skin crawl. You're here because you love that shiver down your spine, right? Well, stick around. We've got fog-choked roads, creaky houses, and lonely nights hiding things that watch when you least expect it. If you're into this kind of chill, hit that subscribe button down below. Join the crew who never sleep easy, and let's dive into the dark together. Ready? Here's tonight's story. So, I messed up big time. It all started about a month ago when I was scrolling through some forums on X, late at night in my cramped apartment in Seattle. I stumbled across a thread where folks were sharing wild stories about this thing called the Dark Net. They mentioned using something called Orion to dig into corners of the internet most people never see. The thread was buzzing with questions about the creepiest stuff anyone had found. I don't know why, but it hooked me. People talked about hidden markets, weird forums, and pages that sounded like they belonged in a horror flick. I'm not tech savvy, but I was curious, and curiosity can be a dangerous thing. I grabbed my old laptop, the one I barely used since moving here last year, and followed a link someone shared to download Orion. It took forever to install, and I kept glancing at my window, half expecting something to be watching me from the rainy street below. Once it was ready, I clicked a link from the forum that led to a shadowy index page, some kind of underground directory. It was just a plain gray screen with a list of blue and green hyperlinks. The blue ones seemed tame, but the green ones had names that made my stomach twist. There were sites offering things I'd rather not think about, stuff that's illegal in every sense of the word. I steered clear, my hands shaky on the keyboard. Eventually, I found a green link labeled The Vault. It sounded mysterious, not outright sickening, so I clicked it. The screen went blank for a solid 10 seconds before loading a new page, this one pitch black, with glowing orange and purple links. The orange ones caught my eye, names like Ghost Trades and Lost Signals. They sounded bizarre, like something out of a sci-fi novel. I hesitated, knowing I was wading into deep water, but I clicked an orange link called Whisper Network. My screen froze, then flickered, and I swear I heard a faint hum from my laptop's speakers, even though I hadn't turned them on. The page that loaded was different. It wasn't just links. It had a chat window in the center, flanked by a blank video feed. The background was a deep red, like dried blood. I stared at it, my heart picking up speed. I should have closed the tab right then, but instead, I typed hello into the chat box, my fingers moving before my brain could catch up. Nothing happened for a minute, just silence and that empty video feed staring back at me. Then, the screen flickered again, and the video feed blinked on. I froze. There was someone there, a figure in a hood, their face hidden behind a blank white mask with blacked-out eyes. My breath caught in my throat, and then I saw something worse. My own face appeared in a smaller window beside theirs, grainy and pale, like I was being broadcast. I nearly knocked my laptop off the desk. My webcam was off. I always kept it covered with a piece of tape after hearing about hackers. But there I was, staring back at myself, my wide eyes reflecting the glow of the screen. The hooded figure tilted their head, and a low, garbled voice crackled through my speakers. It sounded like it was run through some kind of filter, all distorted and wrong. "You shouldn't be here, Ethan," it said. "My name." They said my name. My chest tightened, and I slammed my hand over the webcam, as if that would do anything. I tried to close the browser, but the Orion window wouldn't budge. The taskbar vanished, and the usual buttons at the top, minimize, exit, were gone. I jabbed at my keyboard, hitting Ctrl plus Alt plus Delete, but the screen didn't even flicker. The voice came again, slower this time. "Hiding won't help, Ethan. We know where you are." I felt like I was going to puke. My apartment was dead quiet except for that voice, and the rain tapping against my window felt louder, like it was mocking me. I yanked the power cord out of my laptop and held the power button until the screen went black. My hands were shaking so bad, I dropped the laptop onto the couch. I sat there in the dark, listening to my own breathing, half expecting that masked face to show up at my door. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I deleted Orion and ran every antivirus scan I could find. I told myself it was just some creep messing with me, some loser who got a kick out of scaring random people. I didn't call the cops. What would I even say? That I was poking around the dark net and got spooked. I tried to forget it, burying myself in work at the coffee shop down the street. But 3 weeks later, something happened that brought it all rushing back. I was checking my mailbox in the lobby when I found a small, unmarked envelope mixed in with the usual bills. My name was scrawled on it in jagged handwriting. No return address. I tore it open right there, my fingers clumsy. Inside was a single sheet of paper, folded once. When I opened it, my knees buckled. In thick, uneven marker, it read, "Stay away, Ethan." Below the words was a grainy printed photo of my apartment building, taken at night from across the street. I dropped the letter, my heart hammering. I hadn't told anyone about that night. Not my coworkers, not my sister back in Portland. Whoever sent this knew where I lived. I moved the letter to my kitchen drawer, too freaked out to throw it away, but too scared to keep looking at it. I didn't call the police. It felt pointless, like they'd laugh it off. But every time I passed that mailbox now, I brace myself, waiting for another envelope to show up, wondering if they're still watching. I messed up bad. It was late last summer, maybe August, when I was crashing at my tiny studio in Chicago, just killing time online. I'd been scrolling through some sketchy corners of X, where I found this thread about the deep web. Folks were swapping stories about finding weird stuff using this thing called Nexus, a browser that lets you poke around places Google doesn't touch. Someone asked about the creepiest sites people had hit. And the replies were wild. Secret forums, shady markets, pages that sounded straight out of a nightmare. I'm not proud to admit it, but I was hooked. I wanted to see for myself. So, I dug up my old laptop, the one I hadn't touched since moving here after college, and hunted down a Nexus download link from one of the posts. It took ages to set up, and the whole time, I kept checking my door, like I was about to get caught doing something illegal. When it finally loaded, I clicked a random link from the thread that dumped me onto some kind of index page. Just a blank gray screen with a mess of purple and yellow links. The purple ones had names that made my skin crawl, stuff I knew better than to touch. I wasn't here for that. I just wanted something weird, not evil. After a bit of clicking, I landed on a yellow link called The Archive. Sounded harmless enough, like a digital library or something. The screen went dark for a second before a new page flickered on. This one with a sickly green background and bold white text screaming about the purity trials. My stomach dropped as I read the intro. It claimed the site ran tests to prove some people were lesser. Experiments on folks nobody would miss, like drifters or runaways. The trials listed were messed up. Sleep deprivation, exposure to cold, chemical burns, even stuff on kids, like how long they could handle loud noises. I'd seen my share of gross internet clips, thought I could stomach anything. I was dead wrong. I clicked a link labeled Trial Records, figuring it'd be text, maybe fake. The page loaded slow, and when it did, my heart sank. Photos. Rows of them. People. Real people. Looking scared, hurt, trapped in ways I can't even put into words. I wanted to puke but couldn't look away. The deeper I scrolled, the worse it got, until I hit a section about toddlers. My hands shook, but I kept going, like some idiot who couldn't stop. At the very bottom, a little window popped up, blank at first. Then text appeared. Like what you see. It was a chat box. My blood ran cold. I stared at that chat box, my pulse hammering in my ears. The Chicago streetlights buzzed outside my window, but it felt like the world had gone quiet. I typed, "Who's this?" My fingers were clumsy, half regretting it already. The reply came fast. "What caught your eye?" I gritted my teeth and typed again. "Answer me. Who are you?" This time they responded, "I run the purity trials." My stomach twisted. This wasn't some random troll. I lost it, typing that the site was disgusting, that I'd turn it over to the cops. Big mistake. There was a pause, then new text. "Interesting choice, Sarah. Chicago's nice this time of year." They knew my name, my real name. I froze, my breath shallow. I typed, "You're full of it," trying to call their bluff, but my hands were shaking so bad I could barely hit the keys. 10 seconds later, my screen lit up with another message. It was my address, my exact street, apartment number, everything. The final line read, "Sleep well." I slammed my laptop shut so hard the hinges creaked. My heart felt like it was going to burst. I didn't think, just grabbed my phone and dialed 911, pacing my tiny studio like a caged animal. The cops showed up an hour later. I spilled everything to them and my roommate, who'd just gotten home, and looked at me like I was nuts. I tried showing them the site, but Nexus doesn't save history, and I couldn't remember the exact path I'd taken. The officers were skeptical but serious, saying if someone had my address, I should lay low somewhere else for a bit. My roommate freaked, and honestly, I didn't blame her. I felt like garbage for dragging her into this. Lucky for us, she was already planning to crash with her boyfriend across town, and I had a cousin in Milwaukee who said I could stay with her. We packed up fast, like we were running from a fire. I spent the next month at my cousin's, jumping at every noise, checking my phone for weird messages. I deleted Nexus, scrubbed my laptop, and swore off anything deep web. I kept waiting for something else. A letter, a call, anything. But nothing came. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling I'd opened a door I couldn't close. My roommate and I split up after that. She didn't want to live with someone who'd brought that kind of trouble home. I'm back in Chicago now, in a new place, but I don't sleep right. Every time I'm online, I wonder if they're still out there, watching, knowing exactly where I am. I tell everyone I know, stay away from the deep web. It's not worth it. Whatever you're looking for, it's not there. Just shadows waiting to follow you home. Man, I really screwed up. It was early last fall, around October, and I was holed up in my small apartment in Denver. My usual guy for picking up some weed had just ghosted town, and I was out of options. I'd overheard some coworkers talking about this dark website called Shadow Market, a place where you could get pretty much anything if you knew how to look. They swore it was legit, and with my roommate off visiting family in Boulder for the weekend, I figured it was my chance to check it out. I mean, what's the worst that could happen, right? I fired up my beat-up laptop and hunted down a link to download this browser called Vortex. The whole setup felt sketchy, like I was sneaking into some secret club. It took forever to load, and I kept glancing at my window, half expecting someone to bang on the door. When I finally got to Shadow Market, it was like stepping into a weird digital bazaar. Weed was everywhere, with listings for strains I'd never heard of. I wasn't trying to get in too deep, so I posted a quick question under one of the cheaper deals, asking if anyone could vouch for the seller. Just playing it safe, you know? About an hour later, I checked back and saw a message from a user called Night Owl. They'd seen my post and offered me a half-ounce for dirt cheap, but only if I was local. I'd done face-to-face deals before, never had an issue, so I told them I was in Denver. Turns out they were just a short drive away, maybe 45 minutes. I suggested a neutral spot like a gas station, but Night Owl pushed back, saying they could swing by my area. That threw me off a bit, but the price was too good to pass up. They said they'd roll through around 10 p.m. and asked for a meetup at a quiet lot behind a shuttered diner on the edge of town. Night Owl started asking weird stuff, like where I lived exactly, and if I had roommates. No way was I giving out my address to some rando, so I fudged it, saying I was crashing solo at a friend's place. Then they messaged again, changing the spot to an empty strip mall nearby, one I knew was all boarded up. My gut was screaming that this felt off, but I was already hooked on the idea of scoring. I told myself I'd be quick, in and out. They agreed to meet at 10:30, and I grabbed my keys, trying to ignore the knot in my stomach. I got to that strip mall right on time, parking under a busted streetlight. The place was dead. No cars, no people, just the hum of the city in the distance. I texted Night Owl through the app, saying I was there, but got nothing back. A few minutes later, a message popped up. Running late. Be there soon. That didn't add up. If they were coming from 45 minutes out, how'd they pick this random spot? I sat there, engine off, scrolling my phone to kill time. But after 15 minutes of silence, the whole thing started feeling like a setup. I wasn't sticking around to find out what kind. I peeled out of there, my tires crunching on the gravel. It took me maybe 12 minutes to get home. When I pulled into my complex, something felt wrong. My apartment door was cracked open, just enough to notice. I know I'd locked it. I always do. My heart started pounding, thinking maybe my roommate came back early. I called out his name from the doorway, but it was quiet. Then I saw it, a faint glow coming from my bedroom down the hall. Someone was in there. I heard a soft thump, like something being dropped, and my brain went into overdrive. I yelled again, hoping it was just a mix-up, but the light flicked off, and a door slammed shut. I should have bolted, but I was pissed, thinking someone had the nerve to break in. I grabbed a heavy flashlight from the kitchen, best I could find, and crept toward my room. My hands were shaking, but I pushed the door open, half expecting to see my stuff trashed. The room was empty, but my desk drawer was yanked open, papers scattered. I fumbled for my phone to call 911, but before I could dial, something lunged at me from behind the bed. I swung the flashlight hard, catching their shoulder, and a guy yelped, cursing loud. He scrambled up, a skinny dude in a hoodie, face half hidden, clutching his arm, and bolted past me, out the front door. I caught a glimpse of him jumping into a beat-up gray sedan before he sped off. I locked the door and called the cops, my voice all over the place, as I told them someone broke in and gave my address. When they showed up, I described the guy as best I could. Hoodie, maybe in his 20s, gray car. But I clammed up about Shadow Market. No way was I admitting to that. The cops found a busted window latch in the back. Said he probably got in that way. I'm guessing Night Owl, or whoever he was, hacked my info somehow, maybe from the app. He's still out there, and I'm stuck looking over my shoulder, wondering if he'll try again. I ditched Vortex and swore off that dark web crap for good. Trust me, it's not worth the risk.
If these stories sent a chill down your spine, go ahead and tap that like button and subscribe for more eerie tales. What would you do if you were caught in one of these unsettling situations? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd really love to hear what's on your mind. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next nightmare.